2, 1. I forgot the bit.
I don't know.
I
don't know what was the bit.
I had a bit I was going to do in my head like 2 hours ago, and I forgot about it. Hi, folks. We're going to talk about game balance.
This is how you know we don't script these, because no one could write something this bad.
We've literally never written a script for anything.
It's true.
We've done notes. We've never done scripts.
Technically,
Notes.
the channel intro was a script.
Kind of.
But that's on our YouTube. Anyway, folks, we are here to talk about, when it comes to games, their difficulty. Are they easy? Are they hard? Are they somewhere in the middle? Is there random spikes here and there? Hopefully we're going to get into a little bit more in depth, a little bit, dig a little deeper into this topic, because it's not a one-size-fits-all answer. But I wanted to warm us up with a quick question, because I think this is something that's pretty impressionable in our minds. What was the first game that you guys played that you remember having a hard time with because it was just really hard as a kid?
Oh, I can answer for Jack.
Can you?
Okay.
Yeah, it's Pokemon and getting out of the house.
That was me though, wasn't it?
But I'm moving that over onto Jack.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, yeah. I was the one that didn't know how to set the clock. That was my problem.
No, that's Cloud now.
That's
okay.
That's my problem. Okay, sure.
I'm switching. But the answer's the same for both of you. It's Pokemon.
No. I have a very interesting answer, actually. My answer is The Lion King for the Super Nintendo. I don't know if you guys have ever played The Lion King for the Super Nintendo or Sega Genesis. It's the same game. That game is really fucking difficult. So here's the thing. When you play platformers, right, there is a degree of control you expect from them. There is a degree of being able to have momentum and being able to really fine-tune your movement. There's not a whole lot of that in the Lion King game. You do have a sense of movement if you're doing a dash, because you can do a dash on the ground. But you don't get a whole lot of that because you have to jump from platform to platform, and the platforming sucks. And by that I mean, how when you jump, there's usually if you jump in a Mario game or a Sonic game, you have crash, spiral, whatever have you. You can feel some kind of forward momentum that will guide you onto the platform, whatever platform or next part of the level you need to get to. With The Lion King, it's really weird because there's a lot of vertical momentum, but then there's not a lot of horizontal momentum. So you're doing these weird big jumps that that go high but don't go far. It's really hard to explain, but it's definitely not the kind of jump that you would hope to be able to do in a platformer, especially when the second level of the game has these giraffe heads that are about the size of my finger, and your character is bigger than that, and you have to try to actually land on that giraffe head. Also, the giraffe heads like to move sometimes. 2 thumbs up. I don't know how I ever got past that level. I never even made it to the adult levels. There's for some reason the adult levels don't actually they don't outweigh the kid levels. You play more as a kid than you do as an adult. But I never made it to the adult levels. I died on the final level right before that. It was called Hakuna Matata, and I remember there was a monkey boss that threw barrels at you. No, I'm not making this up. That is actually the boss fight. And it kicked my ass every single time. Never beat that game. I think I own it again. I think I bought it on for the Sega Genesis. So I could try it again. I don't think I'll get very far, but I could try it. I did actually pick it up the other not no, I don't know why I say the other day. Like a few months ago when I first picked it up now, I remember I tried playing it and I was reminded very quickly how not easy that game is. Like, and it's not just the platforming, like also like the hit detection, like trying to like attack enemies is not good either. But I mean, that's a whole nother can of worms. But I just remember when it comes to platforming, when you have small platforms and bad platform controls, not a good mix. So that was like my first exposure to a game with a very tricky very tricky difficulty, especially when like you're a kid. You don't expect a Lion King game to do that.
Well, that's just how they made those games back then.
Yeah.
Poorly.
True.
Poorly.
We can't make the games very long, so to make it more worth their money, we're going to make them impossible so that kids will never beat them.
They'll just keep trying over and over again.
And that's why a lot of old games are so much harder than a lot of newer games, because that is actually just how games were made. Like, you know, shit was harder because games were like an hour long if you beat it in a like solid run without dying very much.
Also, the arcade style,
Yeah,
like
true.
creation where you just want to spend quarters on stuff.
Yeah.
The whole
Games that
from that
suck out the money of children because they're balls hard and they're going to be
Addictive.
playing them over and over again.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to our last episode where we talked about games that haven't aged well, where older games were either made with an arcade aspect to them where like they're kind of endless and they just get harder and harder, but like there's not really an end of the game, or they just made them really hard. And sometimes they did both in a sort of way. But like, yeah, The Lion King's definitely like a game where there's an end, but to, you know, as a response to that, they made it really, 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 really hard. And I think another reason why they did that is because I don't remember. I think I actually owned these games, but back in the day, you had like Blockbuster and you could just rent the games. So you were probably going to have to rent it multiple times if you were going to beat a game, because you might not actually be good enough at the game for it to be beaten within one rental. So that was like another way that they were combating that sort of thing. I don't know, Jack, what do you remember for the first game that kind of kicked your ass like that?
I mean, as a child, I was bad at video games just in general, so I could name a lot of games that I could beat very easily today, like Super Mario Brothers 3 or fucking Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green.
Extra
like
hard.
You know, I had a hard time beating that game for a while because I was bad at video games and didn't know how to like structure a good Pokemon team. But yeah, I was just bad at video games.
I'll admit,
I was correct. Pokemon is the answer.
I never really had trouble with Pokemon, except for the one
I wasn't talking to you. Okay, you can continue.
But that's how you opened the podcast, was putting the whole Pokemon thing to... Wait, no, you did give that to Jack. You gave my thing to Jack. You said you said I couldn't start a clock, so you're insinuating that I sucked at Pokemon too. But no, I didn't.
Listen, I got lost on route 1 and 2, so we were all bad at Pokemon.
Did like Mario 3 leave that much of an impression on you for like not being able to beat it as a kid? Because like I never beat it as a kid.
I mean,
but
I did
like
I eventually beat it as a kid, but I like, you know, when I first like started out playing it, like I had a hard time with it, you know, like I got stuck on the end of World 2 for a little bit. I got stuck on World 5 and 7 and 8. Like, I don't know. I played that game a lot and I did beat it eventually, but Al in the chat says, I never remember beating Mario World as a kid, and I'm like, I didn't either. You know, shit's hard when you're
I
like 8 years
also
old and bad at video games.
To be fair,
I
I
never
never beat Mario World.
I never owned like a lot of the Mario games until much later. So like when I did, but I did play them because I like would either borrow copies or like someone would have like one of the Mario Brothers for GBA, so I'd use it. So I never got super far into them, and that's why Jack had to carry me through all of the Mario games on stream.
I mean, I wouldn't
Carry
say
me through
carried.
all of the Mario games on stream.
Okay.
That's what
Okay,
happened.
Landon,
I mean,
he's giving you credit. He's complimenting you. Just take it. Just take it.
Go watch the tape.
I don't know. We don't have tapes for those. We didn't save those VODs.
Listen, if you are a patron member, you can go purchase the VHS tapes for a lot of things. Not everything made it to YouTube. So just keep that in mind.
So if Mario wasn't something that you jumped into like super early, what would be like the first game that you really remember like kicking your ass then? Like
Bit Trip Runner. Can I say that?
there's gotta be games that came up before that. I mean, by that point you were like what? 16?
17.
16, 17? Like
old.
there had to have been games before that like you really, unless like you were like always played baby games for like the first 10 years of your life.
Listen, just because I played Pokemon and Lego Island 2 for the Game Boy Color, and that's it until the GameCube came out. Bit Trip Beat was also another tough one. Basically, any of the Bit Trip games, except for Void. Void was the first one I actually like beat. And it's one of 4, I guess, of the original series. I have yet to beat Beat or Core, but I have beat Void, Runner, Fate, and Flux. Although Flux, that I squeezed through. But those games are just hard in general. As far as like games that I remember giving me a tough time, as a
kid, as a wee lad.
As a wee lad. See, the issue is I played so much Pokemon that other things don't even like
register.
I think
in your
the
memory.
first, yeah, the first. I mean, maybe like Sonic Heroes because the controls and everything suck. Like the characters are slippery, and they're like Team Chaotic. Like all the missions for them suck, and so I think that was the first Sonic game I owned.
I'm gonna one spot that I remember getting stuck in for a while, and I think this is a true thing for a lot of children who owned this video game. Security Hall and Sonic Adventure 2.
Oh, sure.
Which one was Security
like
Hall?
Where you have to collect the Chaos Emeralds in 5 minutes.
Yeah, I think I had a little bit of trouble
like,
with
and
that.
I it's very easy now, but like when you're a stupid child, like 5 minutes isn't a lot of time, especially when there's like the panels that you had to unlock on like the different levels.
Yeah. I think what it is for me is that when it comes to Sonic Adventure 2, when I first played it, it was my cousin's, and I don't remember if it was just a rental or if I just didn't get to play it too much. But we just never beat it. I didn't get to play it enough to do that. So by the time I actually got it and played it, I was like 15 because it was like 2007. Wow. And I think I didn't really have a hard time with it until like doing the alternate missions, like some of the other missions beside. I mean, I remember the one of the missions with the car where you had to like not touch the walls or the other cars, and like
Yeah.
It could taking turns in that thing was a piece of shit.
And that's like its own tier of difficulty. Like going for 100% in a game is like an entirely like different category.
Yeah.
To just beating a game, because just beating a game most of the time is easy enough, but like in a lot of cases going for 100%, like, you know, getting all A ranks and unlocking Green Hill in Sonic Adventure 2 is pretty fucking stupid, because some of those A ranks are bullshit.
I did it. You want to know how many hours I sunk into Sonic Adventure 2 Battle before it finally relented and I got all 180 emblems?
680.
Somewhere in the 300 range.
Okay, both of those are way too high, but it is triple digits. It was 110 hours.
Like was it a fresh excuse me, Jesus. Was it like a fresh save file when you started that goal? Like, okay, that makes sense.
Yep, 110 hours. And I will say that a lot of it was spent in the Chow Garden, to be fair, because you have to do all the Chow World stuff. You have to raise their stats, and then you got to do the emblems for the karate and the racing, and that took a long time. But also, and like, it's not like I wasn't doing things to make it shorter, because I know the ring trick in that game where you can just get infinite money. So I did do that, and I got a shit ton of money for the food and stuff to give to the Chow, so that way they could just have their stats buffed all the time. So it's not like I wasn't shortcutting it, but there was missions that were legit hard. Some of the emerald collecting missions where you have to do it without hints, and like you have to do it in like a strict time limit to get the A rank. Some of those were pretty hard, and I think the hardest A rank for just the normal levels is easily, for me at least, Metal Harbor, because trying to get that little extra part on the rocket by going around the long way, oh my god.
And you have to get like so many rings to get an A rank.
Oh yeah. You need to, because the A rank, so the A rank is, I think, I can't remember if it's 18,000 or 20,000 points in that level, but it is so strict that I think it was 20,000, but I remember it's so strict that like even if you do like a perfect run, so to speak, of the level, you're probably still just barely getting that A rank. Like I think there's not a lot of wiggle room. Galactic Bear mentioned Sonic Adventure 1 being better than Sonic Adventure 2 as a hot take. I think in some respects, yeah, it is.
Here's a hotter take. Garbage can greater than SA1 and SA2.
Wow.
What is in the garbage can? Is it copies of Sonic 3D Blast?
I was going to ask, where on this spectrum is Pokemon X?
Pokemon X? Pokemon X is in the garbage can.
Oh, so is it? Does that mean it's better than Sonic Adventure 1 and 2?
The garbage can is.
But not the copy of Pokemon X that's in it.
No.
You're just talking about the garbage can itself.
Yeah, the garbage can
regardless
itself.
of the inside contents.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Because the garbage can also has like stuff like Shadow the Hedgehog and Sonic 06 and Jack's Hopes and Dreams. So
yeah, I want to continue this conversation that you opened up about the difference between beating a game and 100% completion of a game, because those are two very different things. I mean, you guys, we all played Mario Wonder, and I mean, anyone who watched the VODs or watched that live might remember I kind of tapped out right before the last level, and the last level when you try to do 100% is
this is another example of what I mean when I say that like 100%ing a game is like a completely different category of difficulty compared to
especially
just beating
Mario
a game.
games.
Yeah, because like just beating Mario Wonder is like it's a pretty fair difficulty for a Mario game. It's not like super easy, but I wouldn't say it's super difficult either. Like it's about what you would expect from like a modern Mario game. Like there's some tricky levels, but it's nothing too crazy.
And most of those are optional a lot of the time.
But getting 100% in this game, fuck that. One day we'll go back to it and beat that final level.
He said that for a year now, folks. It's been over a year.
Shut up. That level sucks. It's so fucking hard. Like it, and this is the case for so many Mario games where like there is one final level that is just completely bullshit evil compared to the rest of the game. 3D World did this.
And that level is
3D Land did this.
That level's super long too in Mario Wonder. I don't know how long the ones from like previous games do, but like that level lasts for an eternity. And
they're usually like marathon levels, but Wonder's like last badge challenge is nutso in comparison to some of those as far as length goes.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Galactic Baron brings something up. 3D World, they 100%ed as one character. That is not 100%ing that game. That game in particular, in order to get 100%, you have to beat every level as every character because there are character-specific stamps.
And also, you need to get the top of the flagpole for every single
character. Yeah.
That's insane. And I mean, it's not like this was like a new thing because the top of the flagpole was also in 3D Land, but now you have to do it with multiple characters.
I would argue that for 100% completion, Super Mario 3D World is worse than Sonic Heroes.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
I mean, I did it for Sonic Heroes because
like people complain that Sonic Heroes you just have to play the same story 4 times, but like the levels are slightly different, and you have like, you know, and that's another example. Like Sonic Heroes, it does have like 4 different teams, but they all play a little bit differently, mostly in how the level design works. And it's almost kind of like a difficulty slider between the 4 teams. You know, Team Rose is easy, Team Sonic is normal, Team Dark is hard, and then Chaotix is stupid.
Like, fuck you.
It's off on a totally different spectrum.
Yeah, it's
fuck you difficulty.
It is fuck you difficulty because a lot of it is like, hey, you're in the mansion level and you have to blow out 60 torches. Have fun.
But
there are only 60 torches.
I will counter with Sonic Heroes where at least when you're 100%ing the game, you don't have to be perfect. Because you do have to get the top of the flagpole in every level as every character in a 3D World. In Sonic Heroes, you don't have to get A ranks and everything. You just have to you just have to beat it with everybody and then get all the Chaos Emeralds. So it's not as bad.
One thing for 3D World though is because it's a multiplayer game, if like you and 2 friends play through the game, you can split up the 5 characters. So you can do a playthrough with 1 friend as 2 characters, and then play through it again once you unlock the 5th character and play as 3 characters. So you can do it in two runs. You don't have to do everything by yourself if you are playing local.
That is true.
If you play online, you're fucked, like Jack.
Yeah.
Another fun moment when we played through the whole game on my file, and then I kicked him out of the game after we unlocked Rosalina, and he was at the 1-1
World 1-1. Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
There any other games
I do love
that
3D World though.
There are any other games that you've 100%ed that like particularly like kind of come to mind? Now, maybe you haven't 100% of them because of their difficulty. I can think of a set of games specifically that this discussion reminds me of, and that is the original Crash Bandicoot games. I will I know some people have done it, and God bless them. I will never 100% a Crash game, because the gems and in those games they're insane. So like, for those who don't know, the Crash Bandicoot games, you go through the levels, you get crystals, and you beat the level, and for 100% completion there's also gems, and some of them require doing like challenge sections. There'll usually be a gem for breaking every single box in the level, and a lot of the time this requires not dying. So it's kind of a pain in the ass to get all the gems. I've never done it, and I never will. I know that like a couple of like there's somebody in our server, Katie, I think she might have pulled it off in a game or two. Kudos to her. I'm never doing it. I can't. I like the Crash games, not enough to do that.
The ones that usually it comes down to for me is I have 100%ed a lot of the Zelda games, but one in particular that sticks out is Phantom Hourglass, because there is a dumb archery minigame, and a lot of the Zelda games where it comes down to is how awful is the archery minigame. Yeah,
because a lot of Zelda games have a really bad one.
Yeah, either due to controls or just the concept behind it is awful.
I don't even remember the archery minigame from that game, and I think I 100% at Phantom Hourglass.
I mean, in and of itself, it's not bad. I think I just never got the because it's just like a normal like shoot the targets, avoid certain targets, like hit monsters, avoid like the person. But like I could never do it. And I think it gives you a piece of heart, which is like, it was like the one thing I never got.
No, yeah, because I do remember getting all of the pieces of heart in Phantom Hourglass. So
all right, good. Jack, you're coming and visiting me in 2025 because I won't be able to travel, and I'm just gonna hand you 3DS and be like, all right, do it. You can't leave until you do.
He's gonna lock you in a room of his house, and it's like, you cannot come out until you beat this game. We will feed you a certain amount of meals a day, but you are not allowed to leave this room.
Okay. I'm down.
Nice.
Yeah, he'd enjoy that.
I genuinely don't even remember what the archery minigame is from that game.
I'm sure if I went back to it today, I'd be like, well, this is dumb. And probably be able to do it. But I just remember, and this was like when I was like I was going through a lot of the Zelda games. So this wasn't like when it first came out. This was a couple years, probably like 5 years later, when I was like hitting it hard, and I still like could not do it. And I was like, fuck it. So that one stands out as a Zelda game I've never 100%ed. I think Metroid Prime was another game I never 100%ed because I missed one scan.
Oh yeah.
But
you know what? I'll bring it up again. I've never 100%ed Sonic Heroes, and it's not because of beating all of the stories. It is because of the special stages, which you need to beat to get all of the Chaos Emeralds, which you need to get the final boss, the true ending to the game. Still have never done it. Those special stages are horseshit.
I was gonna say, I won't pretend that is an invalid feeling to have, because I managed to beat the last story in Sonic Heroes when I played it back on the GameCube. Again, I had GameCube very late, so like I was already like 17, 18 around the time. I will say it was hard and it was frustrating. I remember yelling at my TV a few times. I remember clenching my controller really tight because the controls. Because the thing is, it's like
so fucking weird.
So here's the thing: the special stages are like the half pipe style, like but it's actually a full pipe, but you won't really be able to control it all that well on top. It's a tube, like the Sonic 2 special stages and a couple other games like it. And you have to collect these orbs to go faster to catch up to the emerald. But here's the thing. In a lot of the games where this is the style of special stage, you're in auto run mode. So you only have to steer left and right. No, in this special stage, you have to constantly move forward manually with the stick. And between having to do that while shifting left and right, and also the controls, like the, I want to say the traction in the tube is really poor, so trying to move
really
around
wonky.
to move it around, it's really annoying.
Precision moving in that tube is just impossible.
God bless your heart, Galactic Baron, for doing it on the PS2 copy, because I did it on the GameCube copy and it was already bad. So I can't imagine doing it for the PS2 copy.
You are a better gamer than I to beat fucking PS2 heroes. That shit is ass.
Yeah, it is.
There's a reason why when originally
that makes more sense.
A millennia ago, we were going to split up each character group storyline into a let's play. I chose Team Rose because I don't want to try at that game when we were going to do that, because it was like I'm picking them because one, they were the only team I ever beat the storyline for, because fuck the rest of it, and two, I never got the Chaos Emerald, so that was definitely not going to be a me thing.
How were we split? So this was back when we had 4 members. We had Justin at the time. How did we split? How were we splitting that up?
It was me. I was Team Sonic, you were Team Dark, and he was Chaotix.
Okay, because I remember I was pretty sure it was Team Dark.
And he was also going to get boss.
Yeah, he was
the only one that could confidently willing to get all of the Chaos Emeralds for the playthrough.
Gotcha. Now, if we ever decide to actually do Sonic Heroes and split that up, since, I mean, cough cough dolphin, we could swap a save file around, I would be willing to do the special stages. I would suffer, but I do them.
I would be willing to not play the game.
Oh God.
All right, I'll play Team Rose still.
I don't remember if we gave it to him or if if he actually chose to do it himself. I don't remember if it was just
we gave it to him. Okay. I kind of just said you get to do Chaotix.
I just went nose goes and was like, I'm taking Team Rose, and then I didn't care after that, because that was the entirety of what I wanted to do with that game.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I want to shift the discussion a little bit to another aspect of games being difficult, but so games usually will, depending on what game you play, it might have a reputation for its difficulty one way or another, whether it's easy or hard. Are there any games that you guys really like to play that you would consider are known for being difficult? Because there's
Kirby.
There's
Kirby.
Yeah, Kirby.
Sure.
Hi, Kirby.
Okay.
Hi.
Sure. Because I mean, you have series like Mega Man. You've got
Kirby.
You've got bullet hell shoot 'em up games of all sorts.
Kirby.
Sure.
Kirby's great.
Hey, I mean, Kirby was going to come up at some point in this podcast.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, how about the fucking SMT games? Those are
Those are hard, except for the baby Persona games. Those games are easy, but oh man, those other ones are real hard.
I was gonna say that's a franchise that's known for being pretty difficult.
All right,
It is.
I will admit, if we're talking about if we're keeping the 100% aspect of the discussion intact, yeah. When it comes to Kirby games, that is a real thing. Like, the 100%ing in Kirby games is kind of insane.
It can be stupid, especially if it has an arena or like a true arena. Like, it's over. That's
like the
hard.
one thing I never did in Forgotten Land was like the final arena.
Yeah,
because that shit sucks donkey. But as far as you were saying words, Cloud, before that, or I was saying words, I forget. I had a thought.
We were both saying words, and I think you were talking about SMT.
Oh yes, SMT. Thank you.
I think I remember you talking about SMT4 Apocalypse in that vein at one point.
Yeah, actually, the one I was thinking of was SMT4, so the original, not the pseudo sequel. SMT4. When I first started playing that, I think I restarted like 2 or 3 times before I actually got through like the first like dungeon area, because that shit is bananas. Like, they have like field effects that happen. They have demons that'll pop out that are just like way stronger. Like a couple random boss demons that are optional that'll show up in the first dungeon, and I'm just like, why? I have a fairy. Leave me alone.
They just throw shit at you.
I mean, that one I think is considered one of the easier ones because it's newer. But like going back to any of like the older ones, like SMT3 even, fucking Minotaur, the fucking Minotaur fight is a fucking, he's a gatekeeper because of just how awful he is. There's a ton of those.
SMT3 is like, it's pretty hard.
Yeah, they're not easy games.
No.
How many of the SMT games have you played?
I've played Nocturne, 4 Apocalypse, Strange Journey for the main series.
SMT5, right?
Yeah, and I've also played. I need to play more of that. Especially now that Vengeance is out. I'd like to play that. So yeah, I haven't played like the 1 or 2, like, so the really old school ones. But Strange Journey is like set up like them, where it's a first person dungeon crawler. And that shit, people complain about Strange Journey Redux, but I enjoyed it. But that was another one that's tough just because first person perspective and being like kind of heavy on the grind. I never actually beat that because I got on the neutral path for the story, and the final boss for that is an insane jump in terms of like level. I think I would have had to grind 20 to 25 levels to be even remotely close to what that boss was.
Jesus.
Yeah. And also like just create very specific demons at that point, because holy shit. Like any team you had before that was like garbage when you got up to the final boss. And I love like fusing demons together and creating new ones. I like constantly and trying to create new stronger things in those games, and that game just goes, fuck you.
Yeah,
you better come with like a complete repel team or be like 30 levels higher.
It is interesting how
I played the Personas as well.
That's kind of how it is for like difficulty in a lot of RPGs.
Yeah.
Like, I can kind of like, it sucks, but like a lot of the times, like the best way to do it is just to grind a lot.
I never beat Xenoblade Chronicles X because of the same thing.
Yeah.
I would have had to grind for the final boss. When I get to that point, when I've put, you know, who knows? Like, I think for that game, I put like 70 hours in. I'm like, I got to the final boss, and I'm good. I've tried it like 20 times. I'm good. Thanks, though.
Yeah, it does depend on the RPG, but I think there are a lot of RPGs that are known for like their difficulty being in just how grindy you need to be. Like there are some games that like the stat system is in a way that like that's not going to be that much of a factor, but I definitely played a lot of like at least a decent amount of RPGs that are like that. I think one that really sticks out for me is Hyperdimension Neptunia Victory, which took me the better part of, I want to say like 90 to 100 hours to finish. And a lot of that was because the boss fights are so like they have way too much HP. They hit way too goddamn hard. So I had to grind a lot just to keep up with the output that they had. And like there's this like one set of accessories in the game that you can get like a really powerful version of like kind of early in. And it adds I think it's like 2,500 or 5,000 extra max HP in a game where by the time you get to like the high double digit levels like 70, 80, 90, you're looking at like just cutting into 5 digits of health. So you're essentially like doubling or even like almost tripling your health depending on how early you get these other ones. And I basically had to have those accessories on at all times on every character I was using, because if I didn't, the bosses were just going to kick my ass. And I mean, it's definitely no like Shin Megami Tensei, but it was, I remember having to start over from my save and like refight several bosses. I believe the final boss, Ray writes, when like she goes into like her like CPU form, she's supposed to like represent like the fallen Atari Empire. She just obliterated me like several times over, and I remember having to like restart and like do some grinding, and eventually I beat her, but it was pretty fucking rough, I'll say. That's one that sticks out to me. Jack, is there like a turn-based RPG that did that for you, where like you remember having to go through that slog to get through it? Because I'm
trying to think.
As far as like difficult RPGs go, I tend to gravitate towards like strategy RPGs. Like those as a whole tend to be more difficult, but I don't know if there's any like regular turn-based games you can think of.
I don't know. I mean, like, I remember having to grind a little bit for the final boss in Xenoblade Chronicles 1.
Oh my god. I
had to do that for Xenoblade Chronicles 2, so I mean, yeah.
My team in my original playthrough of Xenoblade Chronicles 1 was funny because I was not being I was not playing optimal. I was just playing with characters I liked looking at.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was Shulk, Sharla, and I think Melia. Yeah, it was those. That was my original team, and
yeah. Not really optimal. First of all, letting the CPU control Melia is a mistake.
Yes. Oh no, definitely.
Yeah.
When I got to play the game again, when it came out on Switch, I played as Melia, and oh my god, she is so much fun to play as in that game.
Yeah, no, she's great. She's sucks
amazing.
If the CPU controls her.
Same with Sharla. Sharla is not she's not fantastic.
No, she's probably the weakest party member overall.
And she's any team is usable if you're stubborn enough.
Yeah, honestly.
But
the best team is playing as Melia with Dunban and Ricky as your partners. Yeah. That's like
or Shulk. Like you could sub in Shulk depending.
Yeah.
But yeah. Those guys are fucking. But yeah, Dunban for an evasion tank and Ricky for
I guess
meaty tank.
I guess to wrap this back into the podcast topic, like there are some some games where there's like kind of an optimal way to play, just because of like your like some of your options available to you will be better than some other options that are available to you. Usually it happens in RPGs where you have like either party member choices or like monsters you're controlling or what have you. But the game just becomes like exponentially easier once you have like this or like by choosing one option over another.
Yeah. I wanted to bring up, going back to strategy RPGs, is like they do that a lot. Like one game in particular, when I first played it, Final Fantasy Tactics, I was like 11, and this would have been the first Final Fantasy game I would have really played. Unfortunately, I'd never played a strategy RPG in my life, and I had no idea what I was doing. And even when I did, it has a really brutal opening chapter. So the game has 4 chapters. The first chapter, being a strategy RPG, I had to do a lot of building up my characters. The job system in the game, you start with like 2 classes. One's more kind of supposed to be like the branch that opens to your magic based stuff, and then the other one's your melee based stuff. Well, between having to try to get into those classes and the general AI of the enemies, it was really hard, because I would have, if you don't like play smart and do everything right, like getting behind the enemy units so that way there you can have your highest percentage to actually hit, making sure to maximize your units that like can't get in on direct damage, and like having them do stuff like throwing rocks, which can do like extra little bits of damage from a range, making sure that you play to the elevation, because there's elevation differences and that can have a factor. Like you might be able to knock an enemy off a high part onto a low part and do extra damage, and sometimes the difference in elevation can affect the damage slightly. And one thing that I didn't know is that there's like some handfuls of abilities that are insanely broken. And once you get access to them, the game gets way, way easier. There's one ability in particular called, in the original, it's called Blade Grasp. In the remake, it would be renamed to Shira Hadori. And basically, it is the samurai's reaction command that, based on your bravery stat, which is this function that like effectively decides how often you'll do reaction commands as well as dictate your physical attack power, is your percentage chance to basically negate any physical attack, or at least most physical attacks. So once you get that, if your bravery stat is like in the 80s and 90s, which you can manipulate, you are just never getting hit by a physical attack ever again. Not even a gun shot can actually hit you with Shira Hadori. Even though it was called Blade Grasp, you could grab whatever fucking attacks. It was stupid. And then there's another thing that's super broken, which is the mathematician job class, the arithmetic job command, where you can choose like based on different statistics, like the height that a unit is on, their level, their experience amount, their charge time, which is a system that dictates the turn order, and like all these other numbers. If you can like break down what to hit, you can just instantly cast almost any magic spell in the game when magic is supposed to be charged and takes like multiple turns to be able to actually do, because that usually does bigger damage. No, you could just like be like, all right, everything is like on a height multiple of 3, so we're just gonna go ahead and do height 3 holy and just bomb the whole fucking field. Oh, also all of my units are wearing like holy absorbing equipment, so I'm gonna heal myself. Like, you just do broken shit like that. But like,
love to see it.
But if you're not doing that kind of shit, it can be reasonably challenging. Speaking of breaking a game in half, Landon, do you want to talk about Gale Force?
Gale Force.
Force.
Fire Emblem Awakening.
I mean,
And
that's not even like
everyone.
I did give it to basically everyone I could in a row.
Yep.
That's not even like the worst I did in Fire Emblem Awakening. I made an Owain that at one point he could never break a weapon because his luck stat. Because like there's I think it's Armsmith or something. Armsmith that depending on your luck, it's like twice your luck is the percentage chance of not degrading a weapon to where it breaks. And so like I just maxed out his luck and I was like, okay, here you go. And I gave him whatever the crit sword is and that fucking killing a beefed up killing edge, and I was like, all right, go have fun on all these random bosses. But yeah, Gale Force, just if you kill an enemy, you get to go again. And if you have multiple people with Gale Force and you have pairs, you just have one person kill something, Gale Force, switch, have that person go, kill someone, Gale Force, switch, and you can, like, either one can go back out and do a third attack. So you can, like, have multiple things. When I finally got to the final boss for that game, decided that the game was too baby mode now, and I stripped weapons from everyone, gave Owain just a stick, marched him up to the boss, and I sat him right there. Like, I gave him whoever he was with. Everyone else on the field just stood on the sidelines, and the final boss just kept trying to attack Owain. It would miss, and then he would just do like four hits with a fucking stick each turn until I killed him.
You absolutely bent that game over your knee. Holy shit.
Yeah, no. I was like, that wasn't even like the worst. Like, but that was just like, there are some times where the game mechanics are just so much fun that I just like want to like dig into it. And Awakening was one of those. I had just had so much fun, like figuring out like optimal skills to give to units. It's just breeding, man. Just what kind of genetics, which kind of genetics do I want to pass down between these characters?
Yeah, true. Jack, have you played any games like that in particular? I mean, I know that you've played them, but have you like really like broken them open in that way?
I mean, like, you can definitely do that in like the Persona games where you just like fuse your demons together until you create like, you
Satan.
have like this high powered like bullshit monster at the very end. In Landon's case, it was Satan. And he just that's pretty much how it usually goes. You just end up having like one monster that's like an unbreakable killing machine and just watch it like destroy everything in your path. And it's pretty great. Aside from that though, I mean like I can't really
think of anything.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I'm thinking of a lot of games where like, I mean, that it's just kind of like the goal is to just like get to that point and just be absolutely broken.
Right.
But like, like in Tony Hawk, you like create your own character and you like apply your own stat points, but like the goal is to just have like maxed out stats by the end. So, you're going to break a character every time.
Yeah.
I mean, you can do that with any character, not just like a created character.
All right. So I want to flip the script on this a little bit, and we're going to talk about baby mode games. But before that, we've got to do our little housekeeping every podcast. So we have, if you were listening to this live, watching us live. This is twitch.com/GamingStooges. I have been held at ransom to say twitch.com and not .tv.
Yes.
If I blink twice, that means I need help. And yeah, twitch.com/GamingStooges. We do all sorts of streams. Jack, what are you streaming right now?
We're still in the middle of Ace Attorney Dual Destinies. We still haven't beaten the second case yet. Although by the time this podcast goes up, it will be
Twitch.gov.
We will have gotten through the second case, but my God, it's taking forever. I swear there's a good part to this game. It's just we just haven't gotten to it yet.
Right. I will actually be, as of the airing of this podcast, but by the time this goes out to other platforms, will have already started Super Mario 64 through the Super Mario 3D All-Stars package. I haven't played Super Mario 64 in God knows how long, so I am probably going to have to spend a little bit of time readjusting myself to how the game controls, but I'm looking forward to it. I did like Super Mario 64 well enough way back in the day when I played it, so it's going to be really fun to revisit that game. I've been in this kind of mode the past couple years where I really want to revisit games or play new games that I've known about and they're like really old and I just haven't gotten around to either re-experiencing them or experiencing for the first time yet. So that's going to be another game we're going to get back to. It's going to be great. I also have a special project that I will be starting next year for streams. I will not say what it is.
He's finally going to do all the kart racing games, folks. It's finally happening.
Yeah, every single one.
That's the project he's starting.
That's
wink.
Anyway, Landon, you showed on for the viewers, you are streaming Dragon Quest III HD 2D remake.
Dragon Quest III HD 2D remake for the Nintendo Switch family of entertainment systems.
Hell yeah.
Get your buttholes ready because that's still happening.
It is.
I was going to say, get ready for what?
Get ready for more ass bleeding.
Are you only going to be...
Big.
Are you only going to be continuing to do them on Saturdays, or are you going to try to fit extra streams in here and there to like help push the game along?
I do not have time.
Rip.
Period.
All right. So yeah, that's our Twitch. We've got a Discord. The link is in the description of all of our uploads on YouTube. It's in the profile of our Twitch. You can join that and chat it up with us. We have a Patreon, patreon.com/GamingStooges, where we have a lot of extra content. We also put up polls so you can help decide the direction that this channel goes. So like if you want to see certain topics, we have polls and let's like, what do you want us to do next? We have a special shout out at our Gold Stooge tier every episode. And of course, that is Pixel Vixen. So shout out to Pixel Vixen for helping at the extra Gold tier Stooge level. If you're a Silver Stooge tier, you still get access to the polls. But if you're a Gold Stooge tier, not only do you get that shout out, we also have that exclusive videos with tier lists. We did a Pokemon Gen 4 one recently, so that is up for this month. We usually do at least one a month, sometimes two, depends. We have a really cool Pathfinder campaign Landon put up. Even if you aren't subscribed to that extra tier level, Landon put out a special package that you can buy it separately. Or did that not happen yet?
No, not for Pathfinder.
Not Pathfinder, Delta Green.
Yes, that happened.
I was thinking we should do one for the Pathfinder. That I got mixed up.
I could probably do that too.
Yeah.
But Delta Green, you can purchase Delta Green Season 1.
Yep, which is both of the two sessions that we did. Well, not sessions, but like the two parts we did. There's like, what was it?
The 8 episodes we aired this year.
Yep. It was Last Things Last, and what was the name of the other one? Extremophilia?
Extremophilia, yeah.
I keep
Sounds like some hipster nerd shit. If you like tabletop RPGs cool. If not, fuck off.
But
That's how we keep viewers, folks.
but yeah, anyway, that is, I believe, all of our housekeeping done. So let's jump back into our topic.
No.
No. He's got a
He's got a new
flavor.
He did tease this on the Discord, of course. We got
Apple
Crisp
Crisp.
Tillamook ice cream.
Apple Crisp. I'm going to read
Yes.
vanilla ice cream with crisp apples and baked oatmeal strudel pieces.
This man is just a walking Tillamook advertisement.
You have no idea.
I have some idea. This is episode 45 of the podcast, and you've been doing this for like at least a season and a half now.
The entire time.
One day Lennon's going to show up on stream with a Portland Timbers jersey just because they have the Tillamook branding across the chest.
That sounds cool.
How is it?
It tastes like apple pie.
Nice.
I love it.
Hell yeah.
All right. So
I'm just going to eat this for the rest of it.
So we talked a lot about difficult games. Either they're unexpectedly hard or they are hard for specific reasons, depending on their genre, or they're hard to 100% complete, maybe not necessarily beat. But let's talk about the opposite. Games that are easy, known for being easy, or, easy just because of how, how they play, just
Dark Souls.
Yeah, sure.
Dark
No.
Souls.
I got one.
Oh, yeah.
Ghosts and Goblins. That's an easy game.
That's an easy one.
You guys are so funny. I'm in stitches. Someone's gonna have to wheel me to the hospital with all these stitches.
Oh God, Glenn, we gotta get Clyde to the hospital.
I'm busy.
He's busy eating Tillamook. But
all right, give me some too.
Okay.
So, as far as games that are like really easy, like we're talking like do you guys, when you play games and like you play a game that's easy, is it one of those situations where like you go into the game knowing it's going to be on the easier side, or has there been games that like kind of unexpectedly hit you being a lot easier than you would have thought they would be?
I feel like if I'm going into a game and it's usually harder or as hard as I feel like it's going to be.
I don't know if I can't think of a lot of examples of like unexpectedly hard difficulty. Like I feel like
unexpectedly easy difficulty.
Yeah, easy. I mean, that's what I meant. But I mean, unless it's like a situation where a game is like, I knew it was going to be easy, but damn, that was like way easier than I thought it was going to be.
Like Kirby's Epic Yarn. Is that
no? I mean, I already knew going in that Kirby's Epic Yarn was going to be a baby game, and that's not to disrespect Kirby's Epic Yarn because I love that game. But difficulty wise, I mean, okay, we could talk about this though, because Kirby's Epic Yarn is like kind of a contentious
easier than
game.
A Kirby game.
It is easier than a Kirby game, but it's like people talk about it a lot because it is a game where you literally cannot die. Like you cannot like fall in a pit or get crushed or, get attacked or speared or whatever. You can't die. It just can't happen. You just lose gems. But the thing is, the game is built around it because like the collecting the gems is part of the difficulty of the game. And it's like self-imposed. Like you don't have to collect the gems. But it's another thing of like, 100% difficulty being more difficult than just completing the game. Because like going for all golds in Kirby's Epic Yarn is not easy, actually. Have you done that before, Cloud?
I think I was trying to do it in my run. I don't think I remember actually getting all the golds in every single level. I think I got close though. I'd have to boot my file up. It's been forever, but I do remember trying for it.
I mean, like, either way, I think that's like where the real difficulty of the game lies, because like the entire like point of, it's a very casual game, and like there's nothing wrong with that, but like I feel like people dog on it a little too much because you can't die in it.
Yeah. One game that I thought of, and going back to the earlier point when I talked about strategy RPGs, you typically expect them to have some level of challenge. There is a strategy RPG that I've played. I enjoy it, but I will say it is piss baby easy 99% of the time. And it is a game I LP'd for the channel, actually. It is
it Eternal Eyes?
It's Eternal Eyes. So like the thing about Eternal Eyes is that not only do they not put too many units to fight at the same time, one, you can raise your puppet companions to be like really strong really quickly, and you have to, and even though like the gem system that like evolves them and levels them up, powers them up, is a little vague, it is most of the time you are not going to accidentally evolve something into a creature that is like not that strong. Usually they will be stronger in some sense. So between that, your main character, while they don't deal out the most damage in the world, you're mostly going to be relying on your companions to do that. Luke is a tank. Like, this guy has like almost 600 HP at level 99, when the most that any enemy's gonna probably do to you is like 150 if your defenses are really bad. But you can also equip enough the strongest armor in that point in the game is, and it's pretty easy to buy whatever the best stuff is. So like you're not going to take a whole lot of damage. You only have to really worry about the puppets dying, because they can take a lot of damage and unexpectedly die. But the thing is like the puppets, despite them possibly dying and reverting back to their doll form, they still retain their level, which is something that is not usually the case in like Final Fantasy Tactics. If something permanently dies, they're gone. In Fire Emblem, if something permanently dies, they are just gone. But like in Eternal Eyes, you can just, even if your puppet dies, it'll have the same level, and you can just turn it into something else, and then you can just go right back to what you're doing. I don't think I ever experienced a death in the LP, and I rarely ever see a puppet die. So like it's so easy. It is really
it's already like it's already rare enough to have one of your units die, but for there to be no permadeath just makes it like even less of a threat.
No permadeath, and like it just, the enemy AI is also really bad most of the time, except for the bosses. The bosses will generally be smarter, but there's only like a handful of bosses. There's like 2 bosses up until like the last chapter, and then the last chapter throws like, I think like like 5 boss fights back to back. So outside of those boss fights, actually it's like 3 bosses in the main game before the final chapter. So like outside of those, the handful of boss fights across the 10 chapters, like most of the fights, the enemies are stupid, and they'll just do really basic attacks that do like shit. So that it just makes it even rarer for that to happen. So that's something that I found unexpectedly easy, is in a genre that is typically known for being challenging. That game is just the opposite of that.
You would really think that like an obscure strategy RPG with no Wikipedia page and hardly any background information on it whatsoever would be like balls hard.
Nope.
But it's the exact opposite.
It really is the exact opposite.
I think I've thought of an example, and it's mostly because of the game that came before it. But Pikmin 2 is what I would say is probably surprisingly easy. If you played Pikmin 1, That game has the time limit challenge, whereas Pikmin 2 forgoes that. And so, like, to be able to 100% it is easier, but they do balance it around that.
I was going to say, like, Pikmin 2 is easier in the regard that there is no time limit, but the thing is, the game itself, like, the enemies you fight are much more difficult in Pikmin 2 than in Pikmin 1, and also there are dungeons in Pikmin 2, which are their own fucking thing. And I think, like, it's not, I wouldn't even necessarily say one game is more difficult than the other. I think they're just both difficult for different reasons. And, like,
it was mostly because the aspect of going into Pikmin 2, you're like, okay, Pikmin 1 had the time limit.
Yeah.
Which
it's
caused certain gameplay style, but Pikmin 2 is just like, fuck that.
Yeah. Pikmin 1 is hard because you really need to know, you need to be, like, careful with your time management. But Pikmin 2 is hard because you need to be careful with not losing all your fucking Pikmin to what you're about to fight.
Human resource management.
Yeah.
Now, one question I just thought of. So, when it comes to, like, easier games, I feel like a lot of the time we go in and pick up the game knowing it's going to be easy, and we play it on purpose because we want to have just, like, a nice, easier, just, like, relaxing game to play. I think that's something a lot of us, especially as, like, adults, like, we just sometimes, you know, we don't have the time to, like, be trying over and over in, like, a hard game.
Yeah, it's like, life is hard. Sometimes I want an easy game.
So I wanted to ask, is there, like, a specific, either just a few, like a handful of games, or like a series of games, or just even just like one game in particular that you just kind of really stick with, that is that kind of game where, like, you know it's easy and you like it for what it is because of that, because it's just fun to kind of play? Because I have two series in particular that I can definitely pinpoint for that.
Yes, Landon?
Kirby.
The answer is Kirby.
The answer is always Kirby.
This is why
he's shown up in every part of the podcast so far.
Kirby is the king. Like, and it's another case of, you know, easy to beat, difficult to 100%, you know, as we mentioned before. But, like, the reason why Kirby is, like, so popular with all three of us is because it's just chill, fun vibes. Like, you know, it's a platformer, but it's, like, not too, like, high stress. Like, you know, you're playing as Kirby. You got some fun, like, enemy, like, abilities to absorb. You got some fun boss fights. It's like, sometimes, you know, it's going to be a little tricky. You'll have, like, maybe one boss fight or two that'll give you some shit. But, like, for the most part, you're not going to have that much trouble in a Kirby game.
Yeah.
And it's, like,
you typically have a life meter, so, like, you can take a lot of hits before you die.
Mm-hmm. And it's, like, it's just fun, you know? It's simple. It's fun. It's relaxing. We love Kirby.
Yeah, I'll say for me, like, two series stick out in particular, and unsurprisingly, they both were series that started on the PS1, and that'd be Spyro the Dragon. Those games are not hard. They are very easy. In fact, they are easy to 100% because the game kind of incentivizes you to do the 100% thing. There's, like, a handful of missions here or there that might be a little tricky, but for the most part, you're just kind of frolicking around, collecting stuff, you know, flaming or charging into a few bad guys, and then you get your gems, you get your collectibles, and you kind of just go on your merry way.
It seems like it seems like it's one of those series where the most difficult part is the mini games.
Yeah, some of them are hard. I will say, some, like, the speedway levels, depending on what the mission is, it can be a little tricky, but, like, it's mostly like a nice chill adventure. That's a big one, and then the Ape Escape games, while there can be a few moments where they can get a little tricky depending on like the enemy placement, what their behavior is, and like some of the monkeys, especially in like the later games where like they can do some like more aggressive stuff. Most of the time it's still a pretty chill game. From start to finish, you're just kind of like vibing to some good music. You know, you're just kind of having fun catching a few monkeys, and that's about it. Which I like that. I think that's something that's interesting for me is like when it comes to 3D platformers, I know a lot of people like to play 3D platformers that might have like, you know, some degree of difficulty when as you get through the game, like it's going to challenge you a little bit more and more. But I'm kind of the opposite. Is like if I want to play a 3D platformer, I actually am just in there to vibe. I just kind of want to run around a fun world and just have fun exploring. So I tend to pick like easier games for that. Which is probably why I haven't played some of the really popular like 3D platformers that a lot of people like get really excited about, because it's like, I don't know. I guess it's just not what I look for.
Is the other one Ape Escape?
Yeah, Ape Escape is the other one. Like I did mention the monkeys. I was like,
true.
So, and like even like Super Mario Odyssey, like yeah, there's like some like challenging aspects to it if you want to go for like some of the moons that are like really hard to get to. But I found Super Mario Odyssey to be in a similar boat where like for the most part you're running around these like really fun big huge worlds, and you just get to, you know, go ahead and just do whatever you want and just kind of sandbox it. And I enjoyed that.
It's very free form in how you complete it. Like you need to collect a certain number of moons to progress, but how you get those moons is entirely up to you. And which ones you get is also entirely up to you. But sometimes you need to beat a certain boss in order to progress. But, you know.
Al mentioned Super Robot Wars, which I'm not sure if I could agree, and maybe it's just because I'm not experienced with the series. It does have easy aspects depending on which game you're playing, but I always felt like there was like, I guess they're definitely closer to like the more average strategy RPG game than Eternal Eyes is, but I guess some of them can be a little bit on the easier side. Yeah.
There's some Mosu games that are really like that.
Muso, yeah. Where it's just kind of mindless.
Yeah, like so it kind of depends. Like if I just want the mindless time, I just play like the story mode for Hyrule Warriors.
Yeah.
If I want to try and think, I play like the fucking, I forget what the mode is called, but it's like the adventure mode where you play through specifically on the first Hyrule Warriors. You're playing through like the Zelda 1 map, and each tile on the Zelda 1 map has its own challenge that you try to complete. It's a game that gives you both like just I just hit the same button multiple times and watch big numbers and death happen around me, or fuck, what do I want to do now? Like, what is this? Am I gonna take on this boss that has I don't know, like some weird mechanic to it, or try and like clear some kill 20 enemies without taking a single piece of damage or something? They do some dumb things.
Yeah.
I think one game from that style that stuck out to me would be Dynasty Warriors 6. I know a lot of people don't care for it. The Dynasty Warriors games have always been, you know, fairly mindless, just button mashy. But like, I always found it interesting that when Dynasty Warriors 6 came out, because it was, I believe, like it was the first Dynasty Warriors game that was meant to be on like the newer generation at the time, because it had moved to the PS3, 360. You could play it on the PS2. That version's really bad though. But they like really upped the amount of NP, like just random mooks that are running around the world, the battlefield. Because I mean, they already had a lot in previous games, but they would actually just bombard you with a shit ton of them. But they don't do anything. They literally just stand there. So it's just fun to just rack up this big number of like chain kills. You just see the number like go into the hundreds at a time because they don't do anything, and you can just combo the shit out of them with whatever your favorite characters were. Like,
True that.
I do enjoy that sort of game, especially if you're playing with a friend. That is just a really fun way to kill time with a friend. It's just like, hey, you want to play some Dynasty Warriors, or hey, you want us to play some Hyrule Warriors, or whatever Warriors game. And you join the same team and you just fuck shit up together. It's pretty fun.
You know what the most like mindless, like time waster game I think I've ever played in my entire life is, that I discovered because when I had a couple of my friends over for Christmas last year, they brought their PS5 with them, and it was free on Plus at the time. Fucking Power Wash Simulator is like, it's a good way to kill like a few hours. Like, it is extremely mindless, literally just like power washing dirt off of like a very large sandbox area, but there's so fucking much to cover, or like rather to clean, that it takes fucking hours, and it's just completely mindless, just like but it's so addicting because it's like you want to clean it all.
You know what that
but it
reminds
takes
me
fucking
of?
forever.
You know what that reminds me of is I've gotten, unfortunately, because I left the videos running in like the thumbnail the thumbnail version where like you're scrolling through the mobile YouTube app and it just starts auto playing something while you're in the feed. Those fucking videos where like this guy is like power washing these dirty ass rugs, and like they'll like squeegee the shit out of them, they like cover them in soap, and they have to go over it like multiple times. So it's just like 10 minutes of them taking this grimy ass rug, and then you see it at the end and it's like this beautiful, like almost brand new looking rug that has all the color and vibrancy back on it, and it's just, oh, there's something satisfying about that. That's what I imagine Power Wash Simulator must be.
That's pretty much exactly what it's like.
That's
you
fun.
know, you
That's
just like
fun.
clean off all the dirt and just watch it become completely clean.
That's fun.
And it's on like a smaller scale too. Like you can do just like vehicles and shit if you want to do just like a little bit at a time. But like there are some big ass levels where you have to do like an entire playground or like a backyard or some shit. Like there's a lot to it. But it is mindless. It is one of the most mindless games I think I've ever played.
It's definitely a game I've never played.
Yeah. I would say like I wouldn't call them mindless, but like I feel like Mario Kart, like if I'm in the mood to just like, you know, just like turn my brain off and just like kind of play something, Mario Kart is a good go-to. Like, I don't know, maybe it's just because we've played Mario Kart so much and we're
to
like,
be fair, we also don't usually play 200cc.
That's true. But I also
That shit gets crazy.
I mean I 3 gold starred the entire game on 200cc, including the DLC levels.
I still have to do that. I did it.
It's actually the DLC levels are surprisingly easier than the base game levels, just because I feel like the AI doesn't really know how to drive in a lot of cases.
That might be true. They might not have fixed the AI to like drive properly on them. They had time. They had time to do it on the base game tracks when they did that.
We haven't really talked about Mario Kart yet, actually. And Mario Kart has like its own, you know, like difficulty system. Like, you know, the CCs are like the AI will get like progressively better.
You just had to remind me of Mario Kart. I didn't want to think about this. I suffered so much through Super Mario Kart 100cc, not even 150cc, 100cc Rainbow Road. The amount of times I had to save state that fucking track. I didn't want to think about this. There's Mario Kart games that are like usually a lot easier. Like Mario Kart 8, Mario Kart 7 are a lot more chill. Mario Kart 64 I don't consider to be too bad. Super Mario Kart can go fuck itself.
Super Mario Kart has like some of the worst like rubber band AI too.
Yeah, it's really hard AI, and also the tracks are really tricky to drive at higher speeds because
Yeah.
the drifting is not good and the traction is very messy. Um,
But
yeah.
on a similar topic though, we haven't really talked too much about like difficulty sliders so far.
Yeah,
Like,
so
because that is the thing in a lot of games where like you have the option to choose like a difficulty setting, usually just like easy, medium, or hard, or you know, an extra hard difficulty
I will
of some
say,
kind.
what do you guys have a preference when it comes to those games? Like, are there games that you guys uh
It
play differently based on the franchise with the slider, or do you usually gravitate towards like a specific difficulty? Because I didn't bring it up because I'm usually one of those people that just kind of picks whatever the standard difficulty is most of the time.
I was gonna say I usually pick. It depends on the franchise, but I usually pick normal just as like a default. Like I play all the Uncharted games on normal, and like I probably could play them on a higher difficulty, but like I'm not great at shooting, so that's kind of where I like. And the thing is about like difficulty in Uncharted, it's like it's just like enemies do more damage and you do less damage. So it just like, you know, you'll die quicker and they will take longer to die. So I'm just like, I'll just play it on normal,
Yeah.
honestly. But there are some cases where like the normal difficulty is just too easy and I want to play on a higher difficulty. And I think the biggest example of this is any of the Halo games. Like normal or like easy and normal in most Halo games is too easy. Like usually like I pretty much I mean I played on it was a it was a couple years ago, but my friends and I did a fucking uh fuck it, what is it called? A Halo 3
Legendary.
lasso.
Oh.
What the fuck
While
it's
you're
like
thinking of that, Galactic Baron mentioned Damage Sponge difficulty to not be very fun, and I definitely agree with that. I think that's like if the game is like heavily reliant on just changing stats around depending on the difficulty, I'll generally go with whatever is like either standard or sometimes often even just the easy difficulty. I actually turned down the difficulty on Bravely Default and Nier Automata just because I felt like there was just way too much HP and defense on the boss fights of those games. So I was like, I can get the same experience that I want just by playing on the easier difficulty, and it's still going to give me enough of a challenge. So I like even the easier difficulty is not like actually baby mode in those games. So it's like, it's fine. I could do those on easy difficulty and it'll be more fun for me that way.
Okay, I was slightly mistaken. We did not play a lasso because lasso stands for legendary all skulls on, and one of the skulls like forces you to complete a level with no saves and no deaths. So like if you die, you have to start from the beginning of the level. And fuck that. But we did beat it on legendary, which is the highest difficulty. And I feel like Halo 3 that's a game where like if you play it on the easy difficult, if you play it on easy or normal, it's like baby mode, honestly.
Yeah.
And also, Mega Man 2 is a very specific case, but it
Yeah.
is one of the few Mega Man game, or it's really the only Mega Man game that has a difficulty slider, because normal is the baby mode, and then hard is the original.
Yeah. I when I quickly started playing, so like going back to earlier, I had talked about games that are notorious for their difficulty. Mega Man is definitely one of those games, and when I played 2, I had originally played it on normal, and then when I played other games and then I went back to 2, I was like, "Oh, this is too easy." So like I don't even bother with normal difficulty on Mega Man because it's just
No.
even though like it is obviously going to be harder on difficult, like I'd rather the consistency than anything else. So
Yeah, because like I mean, wasn't like normal like just added for the American release because they were worried it was going to be too hard.
Yes, and all it does is just make all the bosses take double damage from everything you do. That's all.
It's not even like the regular levels.
No, the regular levels are pretty much the same. I think you also take reduced damage, but I might be mistaken, but it's pretty mostly the difficulties just changing the boss fights. So
that makes sense though.
Yeah.
Galactic Baron asks, okay, Paul, is OG Mega Man or Mega Man Zero harder? I say this as a fan of Oh wait, no, I've never played Zero.
I played only the first Zero. I didn't play the whole series, and I didn't even beat Zero 1. I got kind of far.
My brain read Zero, but my mind registered it as X, and then I was gonna talk about a Mega Man X, and then I remembered, oh wait, no, I'm stupid.
Yeah. And Landon, you don't have a lot of experience with either series, huh?
I own Mega Man Zero collection for the DS, and I got to Yellow Devil in Mega Man 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. 2 thumbs up.
You know what? That's
Mega Man X
fair.
Command Mission is an excellent RPG, and it's probably the best Mega Man game, period. So there you go.
There you go. Yeah.
There's our mini Mega Man podcast episode inside of this podcast episode.
Yeah. I mean, it depends, because like even within the classic Mega Man series, like there are easier games and harder games. Like Mega Man 2 as a whole is not that hard. Mega Man 5 and 6 are not very hard. 5 is probably the easiest of the first 6 if I'm going based if I remember correctly, at least from my own experience. Mega Man 9 is quite hard. I would probably put it up closer to like
Mega Man 9 is fucking stupid.
Yeah. And then Mega Man 10, even though you can change the difficulty, because that is another game that did add a difficulty slider.
Yeah.
I think that's actually for all releases, though, not just American. Even if you didn't put the difficulty on easy, I think it's on the easier side, because when I played on the easier difficulty, it was baby mode. Like I actually forgot a lot of what I played because I was just not being challenged. So like, yeah, 10 is pretty easy. So like it depends. I remember Mega Man 0 from what I played. It's a smoother difficulty because it's more linear. So I remember not having too much trouble early on, but some later levels are pretty fucking hard. So I never beat it for a reason. So.
Oh wait, I thought of a game I always play on the hardest difficulty. Guitar Hero.
Guitar Hero?
Yeah. I straight up refuse to play on anything other than expert. It feels like incomplete.
I can't play. I'm one of those Guitar Hero people that like I can't play it on that high of a difficulty. I can sometimes play hard depending on the song, but I'm not very good with those games, and I blame my hands because I have small baby hands, and these pinkies are extremely tiny, and they hurt to wiggle too far away from the rest of my hand. So I
got big hands.
I'm not good at Guitar Hero or Rock Band.
It's my advantage.
So
they should make a Guitar Hero difficulty or Rock Band difficulty where it's just to hit one button.
I think they did do that actually in I want to say this is just entirely based off of memory, but I want to say it was Lego Rock Band when that came out, because it was like aimed more towards children. I think they did actually have like a baby difficulty even below easy, where all you have to do is like strum the guitar.
That's
like you don't
funny.
even have to hold any of the buttons.
Oh, that sounds too hard for me still. They have to do something even easier.
I do find it interesting that a lot of musicians that actually play the instruments and then like they try to play Guitar Hero Rock Band, they're like, this is a lot harder than actually just playing the instrument.
Oh yeah, my favorite one is Rush, like trying to play Tom Sawyer in Rock Band 1, and it's like and you have Neil Peart, who's like the most talented drummer who ever lived, playing like medium drums on Rock Band and like failing. Like he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing.
It's so wrong.
Yeah.
It's so wrong.
Landon, what about you? Difficulty settings, how do you feel?
I like them. I like the idea of selecting easy, but I always cop out and play on like normal because I don't know.
Yeah.
I like the idea of it being the setting that the game was designed at.
Yeah.
And so that's what I just pick. But the option being available is nice. It's part of the reason why I will never play like a Dark Souls game, because they don't have the option for me to not waste my time. I like having that option.
Yeah, that's true.
Wasn't
It's
it
like
oh sorry, go ahead.
It's like in like games like Bravely Default where you can just turn off encounters or turn up encounters, like having those like kinds of augments I feel like is super nice as well, where you can like special like have like specific levels of difficulty when you want it or not.
I like being able to turn stuff off and on the fly like that, because there are a lot of more modern games have been able to do that, where you can actually just turn the difficulty on in the middle. Because a lot of the games that we talked about, you actually have to pick the difficulty at the start, and you're not usually able to switch it, because that's what a lot of earlier games had a problem with, is that you couldn't switch their difficulty. But in newer games, yeah, like especially like anything that's come out in like the last like probably 15 years or so, you can usually actually just fine-tune the difficulty a little bit more. So I do appreciate games like that. Like I said, I could not have finished Bravely Default or Nier Automata without doing it on easy, because like I felt like the boss fights were slogs without them. Like they have way too much HP. What were you gonna say?
I was going to bring up something pretty funny. I believe it was Devil May Cry 3. That was a game that when it came out, everyone complained that it was way too hard. And then it got re-released with an easy mode. And that is like generally considered like the best way to play the game, because it is like a lot of people say is way too hard on its own.
I can't remember. Was there?
I'm not 100% sure on the fan consensus, but it did actually get re-released with like an easier difficulty setting.
I'm just trying to remember how difficult people said Devil May Cry 2 was, because it might be a reflection of that, because I remember a lot, because I remember Devil May Cry 2 was kind of a big game, like a lot of people had played it, so I don't remember how difficult or easy it was though, because I've never played Devil May Cry. My closest relation to those kind of action games is the Bayonetta series, and literally only the first 2 games, and I didn't even beat the first game. I only beat 2. And I had that on lower difficulties, just so everyone's aware.
I see just from skimming the Wikipedia page, the difficulty in Devil May Cry 3 was a response to Devil May Cry 2 being too easy.
That's what I remember. Yep, I remember that. That's probably why people complained, is because a lot of people that were playing Devil May Cry 3 were coming off of Devil May Cry 2. So
probably.
I did want to bring up one thing on the opposite end. So like typically I will play a game on either the normal difficulty, or if it's a little too tricky, on easy. but there are a couple series of games where, like you were talking about with Halo, right, where like it's more enjoyable to just play it on a higher difficulty. There are a few games that I think of with that. For me, I would probably say the Kingdom Hearts games I'm more comfortable with playing on a higher difficulty, because the action aspect of it and the way that they balanced it, it's a lot easier to play on a higher difficulty and it feels more natural to me. Like I've been playing them on normal just to be more relaxed, but like Kingdom Hearts 3 especially, I feel like normal is just actually way too fucking easy. Like I remember for starting to play Kingdom Hearts 3 on normal when it first came out, and I was like, this is stupidly easy. So I like cranked it up to proud mode, and I basically played on proud the entire game through. And yeah, it was still kind of easy.
You should play SMT3 Nocturne on hard.
God, no. I've heard Nocturne is like probably the hardest game of the series, so no.
Nocturne is hard.
Another series that I like to play on harder difficulties is Toho, because like I've tried playing it on easy and I have enough experience where like that shit's baby mode. Normal will usually give me a decent challenge, but like there's actually gameplay differences on hard where like there's special attacks that are used on hard in areas where they don't appear at all on normal. So I feel like I'm getting more of the full experience by playing on hard, and I'm able to adapt better to hard as well. For the most part, depends on the game. I still haven't cleared most of them on hard, but it does feel like a more enjoyable experience for that. So there is one game in the series though that I will never play on hard, and that is the 15th game, Legacy of Lunatic Kingdom, because that game is way too fucking hard even on normal. In fact, that game is probably too hard for most characters I use on easy. That game's fucking hard.
Hell yeah.
No, never. So
we love to hear it.
But yeah, I did want to mention that is a series that is like known for being hard because it's a bullet hell series. It is an easier franchise among bullet hell series, so it's a little easier to play on higher difficulties. If I was talking about something else, like I don't know, like I played this game Gunbird on the Nintendo Switch. Anything above the easier difficulties in that game is kind of a pain in the ass, and I do want you guys to talk about something really quick while I bring up this game, because I want to say the difficulty names because they're funny.
Okay.
So quick, Jack, what are all the difficulty names for the Doom games?
Oh, boy, I don't remember.
All right, now I have them both looking up difficulty names. Or Wolfenstein 2 had had the really funny one.
Okay, I got it up. So Gunbird, originally released in 1994, by the way, has 7 difficulty levels. 7. I don't know why there's 7, but
that's so many.
I'm going to start from 7 and go back down to 1. 7 is very hard. 6 is hard. 5 is normal. I can sometimes do normal. I usually play on 4, which is the middle one. That's easy. 3 is very easy. There's two whole other difficulty levels under easy. 2 is child.
Love it. I love that.
And 1 is monkey.
You know,
I don't think you can do that nowadays.
No.
I don't think that's legal.
No.
That's really funny though.
The lowest 2 difficulty levels are literally just insults. I can't remember. There's other games that used to do that. Like they used to like really be mean to you for like picking the easier difficulties.
There's I think it was do you guys remember I Want to Be the Guy?
Yes.
Like that fucking Flash game, like 2D platformer that was notoriously like one of the stupidest hard games ever made. If you pick like the easy mode, they put like a pink bow on your character just to be like, haha, you're a loser. You picked the baby mode.
Oh, I don't remember that one.
Really?
No, yeah.
That was big on like, I don't know. That was big on like Newgrounds back in the day.
Honestly, the only thing I remember about Newgrounds is that I used to play those stupid Sonic RPG Flash games.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so like I didn't play like that one.
I mean, nothing on Newgrounds will ever top the the absolute masterpiece of art that is Kramer's Hentai Adventure. But
speaking of hard difficulty, wink.
You asked me what the Doom level difficulty levels are. From most to, you have most difficult is Nightmare. And then Ultraviolence, Hurt Me Plenty, which is I think the normal. Hey, not too rough, and I'm too young to die.
Oh god.
Wolfenstein 2, the New Colossus, has something similar. It's from the most difficult, Mein Leben, which is German for my life, which is the same as the next one down, but you only have one life. If you die,
okay,
you're done. So then it goes down to I'm Death Incarnate, Call Me Terror Billy, Do or Die, Bring 'em On, Don't Hurt Me, and finally, easiest mode. Can I play, Daddy?
Wow.
I love that shit.
Which
shit.
Those are pretty popular with amongst a lot of the Wolfenstein games. I'm Death Incarnate, Bring 'em On, Don't Hurt Me have been like featured in a lot of them. And in Can I Play Daddy was added with the 2009 Wolfenstein game. So
wow.
like yeah.
Galactic Baron.
No, actually no, it was
very good point.
It was in the original Wolfenstein 3D. Can I Play Daddy was the easiest level in that. So yeah.
He brings up a very good point. Meat and Fuck Kingdom is better than Kramer's Hentai Adventure. I can't believe I forgot about that.
Oh,
Meat and Fuck Kingdom, Steve. Meat and huh? Shit. Is there anything else we wanted to talk about?
Just one last question, actually. So we've talked about games that are hard, games that are easy, games with difficulty sliders, games that we play specifically for certain difficulties. But Galactic Baron saying I preferred Meat and Fuck Space Adventure. But I do want to ask, is there any game that comes to mind when you think of just like hitting that just perfect middle ground of difficulty, either because it starts just easy enough and then gets to just challenging enough, or just because it's consistently just the right level of challenge throughout the game? Like, is there like a game that really, or maybe just a few games that kind of stick out as like kind of just hitting that right without needing to really tweak anything? Because I'm trying to think.
I think one game that is like not too easy but not too difficult, like will give me like a challenging time, but it's not like so difficult that I'm like frustrated with it and want to give up. The first Donkey Kong Country, I think, is a really like solid like progression of difficulty up to the end of the game, and there aren't a ton of like really bullshit moments. Like there's a couple of them that are a little bullshit, but like for the most part, I wouldn't say the game is ever like unfair.
Question.
Yes.
Am I allowed to use save states or save rewinds when playing the game?
Oh, good question. Cloud?
I would say if you don't have to use them aggressively, like if you only need to use them just to like overcome the lack of ability to really, like save your progress where you want to. I mean, that's really just using it as a QOL feature. But if you have to like literally save state scum to get past stuff, I wouldn't count that.
Donkey Kong Country's too hard. Try again. Thanks.
Oh, come on.
For me,
All right.
it's
It's
too hard for me because I'm a little baby boy.
I do have another answer though, and I think that
good.
I thought of this earlier. Like I was thinking of this morning. I think a game that really is like a good like sweet spot of difficulty and is Super Mario Galaxy 2. A lot of Mario Galaxy's detractors say that it's too easy. And I can understand that. Like especially compared to 64 and Sunshine, like it's easily the, easiest 3D Mario game. But Mario Galaxy 2, it adds some more challenging levels. Like it's really just more of Mario Galaxy 1, but I feel like they were a little less like conservative with the challenging like the really challenging levels. They're like, all right, yeah, we're gonna throw in some like harder shit compared to the first game. We're gonna have like some more like one hit challenges. We're gonna have some more like general like harder platforming. We have like our own impossible level where if you get hit once you die and have to start from the very beginning. I think that's a good example of that. Also Sonic 3 and Knuckles.
Okay.
And I think that's it.
I think one series sticks out for me actually, and might be an interesting answer, but I kind of think the PS2 Ratchet and Clank games fit this for me because they generally start just easy enough for you to get into the controls and get into the combat and kind of learn how the game works, but it will slowly like build upon itself over time, and it will challenge you and ask you to do more and more, but it's never overwhelming, but it's always at least enough to keep your brain working and keep you just challenged enough so that like you actually do have to put in effort, but like it's not like hard.
Plus the amount of like the later you get into the game, the more weapons you have at your disposal, and generally just have more like combat strategies available to you,
right? So you just have more
so like
options.
you should just be able to like use your options and like overcome more difficult fights thanks to the tools at your disposal.
And even the side material, like the second and third games have like arenas that you can do, and there's like different like arena gauntlets that you can do. Even those, which are like generally challenging, they're not like so challenging that they ask unreasonable amount of skill from the player. Like if you know what you're doing and you pick the right ways to use your weapons and like set things up with like the different tools you have, like you can do it, and it's not like super hard, but it's also not easy. Like if you're doing some dumb shit and you're not like keeping good cover, if you're not like using your weapons to the best of your ability, you're letting the enemies swarm you, like you will die if you're stupid, but like you can get through most of them pretty fine. So I like the Ratchet and Clank series for that. Is like it's always felt like just the right amount of difficulty. I still have to get back to Rift Apart. I feel like it is a little bit more challenging on the standard difficulty than average. So I was having a little bit of a tougher time with this one particular level, but it's still like more balanced than the average game I play, I would say. I don't know.
What about you, Lennon?
He's nodding his head.
My answer is real easy and simple.
Paper Mario.
We can move on. No, actually, surprising not.
Oh.
It's the Ace Attorney games with a guide. Thank you.
And you know what? That's where we're just going to call it. This is the last episode of the year. And also for the next month, we just a heads up, are not going to be doing live episodes for reasons. So the next couple episodes will only be audio recordings. So unfortunately, if you're a live viewer, sorry about that. But we will get back to those live episodes in February. So thank you all for tuning in. Have yourself a great New Year's. We're going to roll the outro, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.